What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, RAF ESPARZA, coming to you live with another installment of The Bullpen, a joint venture between Inside BJJ and The Grappling Hour. How you doing this fine Friday? I hope well. Can you guys believe it? The PGF is almost starting. What do I mean by that? Next week, they will have a media day, and that, I know, you will start to find out more and more who are the people who are going to be on this year's PGF. And don't ask us. It's a mix of we don't know, and we actually tell them not to tell us anything. Because if they do, then we are technically lying to you. I know very little, but I think if you watch the show enough, you know that. But nonetheless, speaking of somebody that we can talk to who will dance around what we do or don't know, please welcome back to the show, Tim Freeman. Tim, how are you doing, sir?
Listen, man, I lie every time I open my mouth on this show. The problem is I also tell the truth at the same time, so it's very difficult for you to understand what in the hell I'm getting at. But Media Day's coming up. Also, big shout out, happy birthday to the commish, Brandon McCaffrin. Turns 59 years old today. He's almost made it, getting close to retirement, but happy birthday to him. Dude, I'm stoked to be here. A bunch of stuff happened. I told you guys last week there was some shit going down. I don't know if you believe me or not, but some things went down, and I can't wait to chat about it, man.
I'm glad you put it like that because, okay, things be happening. That's true. Tim basically telling you, he's like, every time a check cashes, I lie. Like, that's a beautiful statement, by the way. 3, you're right when you say that things happened, and I'm glad you addressed that, but you did bypass the ability for me to say happy birthday to Brandon McCaffrin. So the camera was only on you. So if they clipped that, it would just be Tim Freeman of no association to the bullpen wishes Brandon McCaffrin, the commissioner of the PGF, that puts on this shindig as a pre and post show. Yeah, you know, he says hello, but Raf's he's around. So thank you for that. I did realize that was very well done.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Apologies. I ate the whole sandwich in one bite. I'm sorry.
You really did. Like, you offered me, like, the last bite. Like, did you want some? And I go, oh, no, you've already eaten it at this point. We're good. Anyway, nonetheless, BMAC, happy 59th birthday. You do not look that age. It is remarkable what plastic surgery has done. I guess where we should start, because it's not like, how do we put this? We have a board, and once you see it, the most top-of-line news item is associated with it, but we should probably just come out and say what it is, Tim. This week, we found out that, guess what, everybody? The thing that probably we thought was blown out of proportion was. And it was designed to get us interested in a partnership. So, just from your own thoughts here, now that we have kind of an official word that says it was designed to break a frame to get some attention, and that there is a likely partnership between Craig and Flow Grappling, what are your initial thoughts of this, Tim?
Yeah, it makes sense. Not a surprise to guys like us. We are in the know. We've always been in the know since the beginning. Since we started podcasting, we knew what was up. But, you know, there's always speculation on the internet. It is always kind of hard to understand. And Flow didn't come out and make an official statement. They were just kind of dropping some hints, smashing a picture on a wall. Usually, you know, unless you've gone mad, that's typically something you're doing to put online for a purpose. So that wasn't a huge shock. But a couple things kind of fell out of that followed up right after that I thought was interesting too. So, you know, kudos to them, because I think it worked. And you alluded to this last week. You said, like, whatever they're doing, they got attention, right? And then boom. So let's see if they can capitalize on it.
I mean, we knew him being even invited to the Flow office was going to be some kind of thing. This is where I now have questions. Craig says that Flow is partnered with them. So the new question is, does CJI air on Flow Grappling's YouTube for free, or their service for free? Or is it like another area or thing that people can do? So we're going to get to the board here in just a second and kind of answer your questions. But I do believe that starts us off into what is happening this week. So bear with us here, people. We're going to take you now to the board where we'll get into discussions about the topics that you want to talk about. But first and foremost, this whole idea that, yes, we did see something a little bit interesting happening with Craig's association with Flow Grappling. But even bigger news was the fact that this week, Craig Jones alluded to the fact in an interview with Alex Wendling that he has come to good terms with Mo Jassim. And, like, you wouldn't think that would be the case. But, Tim, when you found out that Mo and Craig were best buddies again, what was that initial reaction that you had?
You know, and I apologize for freezing there. My mother-in-law's out, and she's just like hogging up all the bandwidth, watching novellas and just running the place, man. I love my mother-in-law. Super stoked she's out. I was kind of surprised by this. I actually didn't see this coming, and I think this is an unintended consequence of the potential ruffled feathers that took place afterwards. And I'm not going to name names, but some names were, you know, not super happy about it. And word travels in the jiu-jitsu world. And as a result of that, I think there was some kind of connection that was reestablished between Craig and Mo. And they were like, yeah, man, we're cool. Back on again. So, you know, this is like jiu-jitsu's, you know, most most famous couple at this point. These guys, this is our Brad, or I'm sorry, our Ben and Jennifer. Like, this is it. This is who we got. We got Mo Jassim and Craig Jones. And I'll take it. You know, it makes for an interesting story.
When you say Jesse Craig, it makes me think of Jenny Craig, and I see the association here. But I have to say, my favorite thing about that era was we here were committed to giving you our takes, no matter what. But I always, in the back of my mind, know they could very well make up. Even Craig going as far as to say he's fine with Seth. The weird part is, I feel like they will not have short memories. Like, celebrities or influencers can always forgive each other because there's always business to be had. But I feel like some people in the comment section, maybe even us, I don't know. Who knows? People can't have paper-thin egos here in jiu-jitsu. Maybe they won't forget those things. Because what's fascinating is, I don't think anybody in the comment section said half as incendiary of things as Craig Jones. And yet all is forgiven. So it just goes to show that sometimes when you go to bat for people like that, I mean, they're probably going to be friends in the end. You never know. I just find it fascinating that these are our biggest celebrity folks in our sport. And as you just alluded to here, you're like, well, they're on again. And I go, you know what? The saddest part about the Benifer relationship was that the last time that J-Lo and Ben got together, I was rooting for them. Because they had been through some stuff, man. Like Craig and Mo, they've been through some stuff too, but not nearly as much as J-Lo and Ben Affleck surviving Geely. Like, nowhere in either of Craig Jones's or Jessam's life have they ever survived a turkey as bad. And I'm telling you, there were some bad ADCC matches. There were some rough moments that they have had online. And even as rough, well, I don't know. I mean, some of Mo's Instagram lives are Geely-esque.
Wow.
But the pair of them never went through anything that rough. Nonetheless, we're very happy they've rekindled their love, and knowing the true rationale behind any Craig Jones relationship, I'm sure they will have to consummate that very shortly. So mazel to them. We did have a note here, and we will get to this, Jordan, here in a second, but I'm going to move the board a little bit further so we can go to our next topic. And I have to say, I don't know that I was surprised by this news. It's sad, but it does appear that Mikey Musumeci is pulling out of his match against Gio Martinez. Okay. I have seen Mikey pull out of a number of matches. He's pulled out of ADCCs before. He's had injuries, obviously understandable. But they say he had to make a decision for a very good opportunity, which is strange because he's working for the #1 fighting organization. So if Craig and, let's say, Gordon fell through as the coaches for the Ultimate Fighter, is he stepping in that world? Like, what is happening here on the Ultimate Grappler-esque opportunity? Is he becoming a coach because he's seen what success Craig has had? I mean, for multiple people now in the UFC. Like, what is the excuse here? So first I want your take, and then the challenge here for both of us is to come up with the most absurd reason why Mikey had to drop out.
Well, Mikey Musumeci is joining the Hall of Fame for legendary Italian dropouts with Louis Piccoli there from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. The great Sean Penn hasn't aged super well, but hats off to you, buddy. Mikey Musumeci dropping out, not a surprise. It's just kind of odd because he's, the information we have available from him is typical Mikey stuff. And if you really look at what he's saying, I had to drop out of FPI, which is owned by the UFC, to do something really big for the UFC. I had to make a really hard decision on what I wanted to do. What did he have, like Dana White on one side and Stephen Tecchi from Fight Pass on the other? And they're like, "Nah, come with us, Mikey." And Dana's like, "Oh, Steven's a bum, man. Look, I got $8 billion." Like, it doesn't make sense. Probably what I think happened is, I would be willing to bet Craig was never in negotiation with the UFC. I bet when he did all that on social media, it was a fake. It was a head fake that he was just doing for whatever reason. Maybe he was trying to leverage some kind of relationship with Flo. I don't know. I think Mikey and Gordon was always on. Probably more likely is the timetable got moved up for the reality show for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason is, but the timetable probably got moved up, and then it was like, "Hey, Mikey, you can't do this match against Gio." Right? So he bailed out on it. Not super shocked. I did want to see that match.
But like, how?
Yeah.
So do they not want to ruin the property? Like, if the franchise loses, is that a bad look and he can't be a coach? Because to me, production guy, very good at this stuff. I don't know a lot, but I know enough. That is 1 day of grappling. Not multiple days. It's 1 day of grappling in production time. He could even get a half day. Miss the production meeting. Just show up an hour before your match. Legitimate baffled, Tim, because I take Craig at his word when he said he was just throwing his name in there to cause some more ruckus. Because in that interview with Alex, he's like, "Yeah, I mean, I saw who they had in mind, or I heard through the grapevine. And I said, what about me? Wouldn't that be the show?" And you'd think, well, they're already committed to that. Okay, great. So then Mikey has this opportunity. They know production dates are kind of in the air. They maybe move things up so that they can launch it at an opportune time, maybe around big events in jiu-jitsu. Having said all that, why did we book this match? Because I had to convince myself for Gio that I was interested in this match. I was like, well, I'm just glad Gio gets some shine. Gio's great. That also means he's not on the card now. So not just Mikey getting pulled, Gio's nowhere to be found on that card. So it's a double stab in the heart of making me get excited about a match that I was never asking for. And then telling a close homie of ours, sorry, bud, we're out of matches here. So see you next time. I don't know. So I think that is the major discretion you take away from this example, which is if you're going to do the due diligence to make us excited about a match that we were not asking for, you kind of owe it to us to make up for it, especially for the homie that doesn't get the match. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's very strange. And it's unfortunately for his Mr. Nice Guy as Musamichi is, he's very hard to decipher. Like he never does what he says he's going to do. Anything he says in a post-fight interview, you can bank on him not doing. He absolutely will not do it.
Having said that, hold on. Maybe I'm hearing it and you're not wrong. I'm hearing it and you're not wrong. But you know who recently became that person that is kind of a shell shock to me and young RAF? The Rock. Here's why. The Rock shows up a year and a half ago and is like, I'm going to give you that match you've always wanted. Did not get that match. Gave us a different match. Then The Rock says some shit about Cody Rhodes and is kind of furthering a storyline and then gives this, I'll be back. I have to go shoot a movie. No problem, The Rock. Go do your thing. The next time we see The Rock, he's ball busting Cody like, hey, that was some bullshit. Let's drop the storyline. It doesn't matter anymore. Teases the storyline again and then says, I don't need to be there live. Then, just for some extra shits and giggles, tells us all, you know what would be great? To have a WrestleMania in New Orleans. Bye, everybody. Surely that won't change. So The Rock is 0 for 3. And you know what? Super likable. One of the most likable people in the world. But now in the wrestling community, a little awkward. I wonder if the likability and the metaphor works for Mikey, because it's not too far off in terms of, guys, I'm going to do ADCC this year. Just kidding. Guys, I'm going to do CJI this year. You know what? Nah. Guys, I'm definitely doing Fight Pass again. No, I got a better opportunity. And it's like, there's only so many of those better opportunities. So to me, just say I'm not doing it, things changed. Because at this point, I don't know for sure that the Ultimate Grappler is a better opportunity. I wonder about that. And I will be looking very closely to see what the current season of the Chael and DC version of the Ultimate Fighter grab, because if they have a ceiling, we're not going above that. So,
yeah,
nervously optimistic, but we shall see. So let's move the board a little bit further here and go to this, which is, speaking of UFC Fight Pass, it turns out that they're taking a page from the Craig Jones Invitational. They are now instituting 3 rounds. Tim, what in the hell are these 3 rounds consisting of?
Well, I'm going to tell you that, but before I tell you that, I'm going to tell you what I think is really going on is World War II, Jiu-Jitsu World War II is underway, and we just haven't noticed it. Jiu-Jitsu World War I was CJI Craig Jones versus ADCC Gordon Ryan. And, you know, nobody was exactly the winner. Everybody kind of walked away with some losses. I think Craig probably was the winner, actually. Let's be real. CJI won. They won that war. Now it feels like in some weird way, the UFC with Fight Pass is kind of going back and forth with Craig and possibly Flow Grappling. It's very interesting to see this shake out. What is the UFC doing? Are they rug pulling CJI too? Are they going like, oh, hey, great idea, we're going to do that too? I think it makes sense for Fight Pass to have 3 5-minute rounds, right? They're going to be judged 10-9 or 10-8 if there's, obvious domination, and 10-7 if it's just like completely dominant. So there's not going to be any points per se. The main criteria is going to be initiation of bout ending techniques. Duration of control is going to come secondary. So, it is very interesting. I think this format's easier for the MMA fight fan to kind of jump into. It's easier to get veteran fighters to agree to do it. So it kind of does make sense. I'm not a super fan of rounds and grappling. I think duration is like a really big factor in grappling as a martial art. And when you add the rounds, it's kind of artificial and weird, but whatever. But I think this is more like a shot that's getting put out there. Over the weekend, there was some Ben Kovacs put out a post about UFC kind of allegedly saying they were going to give some money to Guardian and not coming through. So there's some shots being fired, man. There's some weird stuff going on, but yeah, very interested by this change.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with the charity stuff, because that obviously, it feels like you always think to yourself, how do you mess with charity? And yet somehow someone will. So don't ever think about that question too hard, because if you're ever wondering like who could do it, I mean, a lot of people could. So there is that.
Yeah.
You bring up a good point here, which is that one of the things that I've been wondering here, and I'm legit perplexed by it, is this a move to dilute the format of the Craig Jones Invitational? So it's not necessarily even just sending a shot. It's to make you feel like it's so blasé or boring that then you come clamoring back to your 15, your 10, your 8-minute rounds. Because I will say, one of the things that was working in the UFC's favor was the fact that those Fight Pass Invitationals were done in like 2 hours. These rounds almost ensure it's going longer. And that is part of the reason why I would suspect that Gio didn't get a match, is because you look at that, that's pared down to about 8 matches or so. And that is done with enough TV time to let them do their thing. The alleging of charity not paying, who knows? I think you will see a further divide between the UFC and Flow Grappling. It's intriguing that some of these shots are being taken. But I would say, of all the shots you can take, if someone legitimately didn't write the check for a charity, I feel like that one's cut and dry. I don't think we need to pretend like they did or didn't. It's the association that comes with it that could be problematic for a company. And that is a pretty big allegation to say. Having said that, of all the people, like, the UFC's got the money. So like they could cut a check for double the amount if they really wanted to. So I'm not worried about them being in some financial ruin. It's just a matter of optics and how it looks. So I don't know. I'm curious to how it's going to play out. But I will tell you this. I have one request for people who are doing this. And I just want to make this very clear to all of you who watch. My request is that the UFC doing 3-minute or 3 rounds, if you would, is not a bad thing because it goes with more of their MMA crowd. But we in grappling, as much as I love us getting to get advice from our coaches and zooming in and hearing that extra little like, oh, this is how we're going to beat them, I'm jealous that we don't get that as much in jiu-jitsu. Some tournaments do it, but very few offer rounds. And we're really trying to listen in to hear what the coaches have to say. But if you really think about who the exciting coaches are in our sport, not super charismatic. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're okay. Like, we love them. But like in small bits, in like 1 minute digestibles, they're not going to have the, hey, do you want to go out there and be a champion? And C-word, then make a shirt about it. Like, that's not going to happen with jiu-jitsu coaches. And if they do, it's going to be very cringe. I am requesting that if the UFC goes this route to have people go up and give advice in between the rounds, we have it be celebrities. Let's go full influencer route, because most of the times, what is your coach going to tell you?
Do it.
Pull guard. You know who could say that? Who's that dude who does all the things? Yeah, that guy. Get that guy. Whatever social influencer. Get the Hawk 2 girl to show up and be like, hey, y'all, I think you should try a flying armbar. Also, get this Dogecoin. Yuck. Like, whatever that is, get them out there and get some exciting moments. Because I love the element of juxtaposing a confused grappler who looks at a celebrity, giving them gobbledygook advice and going, I'm not doing that. Or just going, yeah, for sure. For sure. Omoplata sounds like a real good plan. Against Gio Martinez. Yep. Let me go do that. So that's how you make compelling television. You're welcome. Free production advice. There you go. I think with that, Tim,
I like it.
We can move the board one more time. Okay, this one took me a second because I thought it was a typo. But then I put the acronym to use, and I realized it's who's not number one here, which honestly, for an OCD brain, really sent me into some overdrive here for about a good 1 minute and wondering if I should go redo the board. But nonetheless, who's not number one anymore? Apparently Gordon Ryan, who has been stripped of his title due to inactivity, unlike his good friend John Jones. Wish you could, Gordon. Wish you could. But apparently only one GOAT gets away with murder. Well, maybe two. I don't know. I mean, maybe we're going to see Gordon in a documentary in the future. That's neither here nor there. Tim, what are the implications of this? Because to me, Gordon has never officially said he's retired, but he does have a lot more responsibility taking over the new wave 2.0.
Yeah, not a huge shock. He hasn't really competed for who's number one in a while. And I think there was already some speculation that he might potentially kind of be dropped from their roster. I don't know what Gordon's going to do, because it seems like all the indicators are pointing to him not competing anymore and coaching, doing this ultimate grappler thing and maybe writing it out. I don't know. Maybe he's getting, he's saying that he got a 7-figure contract and that he's doing this for everyone. Yeah. He's doing it for all of those 7 figures. He said he's doing it for jiu-jitsu because it brings a big spotlight on jiu-jitsu. Gordon, I want to thank you.
You know who he's doing it for, Tim? He's doing it for those orphans in the charity that the UFC is not paying. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. Think about that. Go on.
Right. Exactly, my friend. Great point. So I don't know what Gordon's going to do, but who's number one dropped him. They said, look, man, you are no longer number one because you're not competing for us. I think that's a smart move. I think that we're going to see some properties move away from Gordon. You're kind of seeing like a little bit of a codification of a Craig Jones camp again and a Gordon Ryan camp again. And it's interesting that Moju Seam has pulled in Italy and switched sides, because I think this right, like he was pretty lined up with Gordon and crew. So I don't know if that makes Jassim a rat or not. Well, I have to find out from Gordon, but not huge news. I don't know what Gordon's going to do. I would like to see Gordon compete again. I'm still going to watch the Ultimate Grappler if they do it. I think it'll be entertaining. But yeah, man. Okay. A lot of things going on, dude.
Well, not just that, but then don't forget the fact that this week Gordon also had an altercation, or at least not even an altercation. It is a internet beef with Toehold. Yeah. And then Toehold took the moment to say the king is back. And I thought, was this a very public, like, couple that gets into a fight in front of you that you go out to dinner with and you can't leave and they just fight, and then you go, okay, well, let's take them individually home, and then you find them in the bathroom making out, and you go, you know what, you guys, you figure this out. I need to get out of here. I just know that seeing that public spat made me realize, well, he's not going to be done internet fighting. But the transition from competitor to troll is going to be heavy for him because he's going to have so much more time on his hands. Even though he's going to be involved in these properties, the amount of tweeting time that he will have will be incredibly high. So when we talk about these things, Tim, all I think about is, okay, I think it's smart they stripped him of the title. I think it opens up a world of opportunity and the possibility that he says he never lost the title, that in the future they can revisit as a storyline. So just as a reminder here, when everybody picks sides, Gordon could easily find his way back at Flow Grappling. So even though there's being some maybe lines drawn in the sand, George Carlin, it's all a big club. Just please remember that, because I notice these things happen so quickly and I just go,
yeah,
it's very viable to me that he could come back and no one would bat an eye. And speaking of people who go and come back, it does look like Felipe Pena had a huge announcement when he dropped the bomb on us that he is going to be competing for Team ATOS for the upcoming CJI2. That is big news. Equally as big, you got Victor Hugo, who's also announcing he's going to be part of the wild card side of the B team. Those are two of the biggest names that you can have in that division. And I just wonder, what are people doing with all of these big moves? And Atos has a team? Like, that actually seemed like news to me. I'm sure they said it, and it just never registered until you saw a name like Philippe get brought in.
Yeah, Atos has a team. No, I think that was a fresh announcement. My question is, and I love Andre Galval, but let's be honest. If an IBJJF yellow plastic barrier can't keep him off the mats, there's no way a sloped pit wall is going to stop him. He will be sliding down that thing in a heartbeat when it doesn't go his guy's way. But it is interesting to see Felipe Pena out there, man. That's a big name. And this is a guy that, for lack of a better word, was loyal to ADCC and Mo Jassim, and he signed up and he fought at ADCC and, helped make that a tremendous show in 2024. And now he's throwing his hat in the CJI ring, and it makes sense because, and I don't know if the terms are the same. I don't know if every athlete gets $10K to compete. They probably do. I think that's hard to go back on, but I haven't actually officially heard that, but I'm assuming that they do. That's decent pay. And he gets an opportunity to be on a really big show. And to answer a question you brought up earlier when I dropped out is Craig has confirmed that this will be streamed free on YouTube. So it's going to be out there. Millions of people are going to watch it. And it's a great opportunity. And if Fight Pass doesn't have anything going on and they don't have you signed to some good contract, it completely makes sense to go out there and do it. So we're seeing a lot of the big names in jiu-jitsu slot up with this CJI2.
This is where I'm confused on it, though. When he said he partnered with them and it will still be free on YouTube, love that. I wonder if because Flow Grappling, to my knowledge, has a music license, that a partnership with them helps them to not lose money on that side. That could be a possibility. I'm speculating here. I know nothing about any of this. 2, it could be that it is simulcast so that they could expand their net so that it's on B team and that, because it's fairly easy to be across multiple channels, and it might be wild to also see it now start to go on their Facebook or their socials where you just get more eyeballs on it. And I think that casting of a wide net, I had worried if they had reached an apex, and it's hard to top the first hype of something that it had with CJI1, but if they don't top it with this, it's very difficult to come up with a scenario, at least in the grappling world, where they do, unless they partnered with like Fight Pass as well. But Craig already saying he's got new partnerships with ONE FC and he's besties with Tom DeBlas now. And that there's avenues for him to have all of these different ducks in line. And where before ONE FC was kind of doing their thing to help them out, no, now they're fully on board. Like, all of these things coming together tell me that they are taking the steps to try and expand in a very big way. And don't forget, it'll be very interesting that Gordon's like, I would never be caught dead competing at the Craig Jones Invitational. True, but will you be coaching? Because I feel the same issue arises. If you're there, yeah, sure, you didn't compete for the Craig Jones Invitational. But if Danaher's not there, are you not going to coach your team when it matters to you? So, intriguing play. And I thought the truce was between Craig and Danaher. So the timing of all of this is very interesting. So maybe Danaher comes and coaches them and Gordon stays out of it. I just would likely believe that Gordon would just have to eat it and go. And I feel like him eating it is a big move that indicates that Craig has really moved the needle in a very, very big way. Having said all that, I do want to put one little asterisk here for all these guys. Philippe was a good example of this. But when he goes in his interview with Alex, he made mention, he goes, I couldn't do the last CJI. You could. You could have. You didn't. Not saying maybe there wasn't a contract out there. We don't know those things. But when these guys are going to get on their press rounds and say like, man, I really wish I could have done the last CJI. You could have. Don't do that one. Just saying. You had a choice. Just saying, I didn't do that one. I had reasons. And I'll take that much easier, but like, I wish I could. If I could be so brave, it would make me so happy to come out. It's like, nah, dude, just own up. You made an adult decision. You didn't want to do it. That's it. It's very refreshing to hear. Before we move on to this next one, somebody had put up, Jordan Raby had asked us, what team do you think will win CJI? Do you have any early guesses? And keep it very brief because we do need to move on to the next topic here, Tim.
I don't know all the teams yet. Honestly, they haven't all shaken out. But you know, my background tells me ATOS will have a hell of a team. You know, New Wave's going to have a great team. B team's going to have a good team. The traditional jiu-jitsu schools, they always field great teams. So don't be surprised if one of those teams wins it.
I mean, B team also looks very nice. And it would be something to have, first year Nicky Rod win it, next year B team win it. That would definitely move the needle a lot for them. Not saying they will, but what if they did? We move now to some... Well, let's just put it this way. This was the least surprising news that could have come out of this story. Nate Diaz reportedly got into a brawl, waiting for disbelief to end, and then walked off a Russian version of The Ultimate Fighter. Tim, as the lead correspondent for all things Stockton, what happened?
You know, what happened is what I said would happen. It doesn't even surprise me, but it does surprise me. I'm always rooting for these guys, but listen, some people are fighters in their own character. And even when they're out on the streets popping off and, you know, they're always on video and character, these guys are not those guys. Like, they're just not. They don't take kindly to any kind of behavior that they don't understand, because that gets defaulted to, this is a threat. What you're doing is a threat, and I got to meet that threat with physical contact. They're just those kinds of guys, man. And you see, this has happened time and again. And Jake Shields was quoted talking about it, that it was like staff and potentially one of the fighters from one of the teams that got into it with them. And then the whole Stockton crew packs up, bounces out. They're back. They're back in the 209. They'd rather go back home. They're like, it's nicer back home than Stockton. We want to chill there. Yeah, I know, right? It doesn't surprise me. But then it's like, man, who would sign either of these guys to be in a long-term production schedule? Like, who would do that? That's insane.
So
it takes a miracle from God to keep both those guys on the show.
So you can maybe tell me this, but I was told, and I don't know if the internet is lying to me or not, but I was under the understanding that the person who was involved in the fight on the anti-side of the Diaz camp was the guy that John Jones got on a motorcycle with and like grabbed his ears and had that weird drive away thing that I'm not quite sure exactly what happened there. But of course, it's that dude that you see in there. 2, was this just a ploy to get people more interested in the show, or did they actually stop production? I am hard pressed to believe you spend all that money, you get a big viral moment or a big amount of hubbub, and then play shock the victim card. Oh, Nate Diaz doing that? Ugh, I would have never seen that coming. Watch it this Friday, only on Russia CBS. I don't know what they're called. So I'm confused as to what this is. And in a way, isn't this exactly what you wanted if you got these guys? Like, you got exactly what your money was paying for.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
nonetheless,
you got it. Yeah.
You know what it is? It's being surprised. You went to get an oil check, and then they tell you, guess what? Your car is totaled. And you're like, what? And they go, yeah, every single light in your car was on. What did you think was going to happen? Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I was coming to get an oil check. I'm sorry. Well, I guess here's my money. Like, this is one of those unforeseen things that everybody else here saw. And yet, I think I saw a very short amount of the clip. And then I saw it was from Jake Shields. And I go, I don't want to give him any social media traction, so I'm not going to watch this. I was like, I'm out before it counts. Good. It's not one view. You don't get one view from this guy. So let's move to our next thing, which is, Tim, this week's low late highlight of the week. What is the fight that you found for us, and what do we need to know about it?
This is a great fight, man. This is a fight that looks like it took place on ice, but there's no ice present. There are a lot of punches and kicks thrown. Very, very few landed. This might be nature won this fight. There's a tree knockdown. There's a ground knockout. There's a wall that gets involved. It's pretty crazy. It's basically humans who think they're fighting each other, but they're really just fighting nature. It's very short.
Oh my God, it's the Revenant.
I can't even, I can't. Yeah, there's none of that. There's no bear action.
It's just you go.
However,
it's really a parable, a Jack London story, man versus the nature, but are they against themselves? You have to read it to find out. Tim, I realized something that is a consistent, I don't want to say it's a note, but it's just something consistently I found when we do this segment. No matter what happens, you turn into a promoter. This fight has everything. It's amazing. It's great. And then you get into like selling us the fight rather than giving me the like, well, hey man, here's why I selected it. It's a no. This is the best fight you've ever seen. I think you should be paying money to see this. So Tim, the promoter, very hard into effect when that happens. But Tim, I'm going to play it right now. Walk us through what we're seeing here, sir.
All right.
We've seen that one. Hold up.
That is
an old fight one. That is an alum. Here is the one from this week.
Okay, here we go. Blue shirt guy and phone guy. Blue shirt guy is being stalked by another dude who wants to get in on the live stream. And he's like, I'm going to get on. He's like, no, you're not. He's like, yeah, I am. And he goes, blue shirt guy's like, I'm going to hit you. and he takes a swing. He misses, and then the tree, and then foot guy. I can't even keep track, but I ground is winning. It might. It
Dude,
might be
what
the.
is this?
I don't
is
know, Raph. That's
so
why
good.
I had to bring it on. It's so good. This is basically Benny Hill that happened randomly, sporadically on the streets without the music or barmaids.
It's the first time I've ever been mad I didn't play all the sound effects on my fucking roadcaster here.
Yeah.
All right, let me give some observations I have here because I legitimately did not pre-check this. This was not quality assurance checked. All right, first things first. You may notice here one of the lesser famous Hemsworth brothers is in the background. He's going up against this dude who's holding it. And by the way, nothing is better than walking away from somebody while filming them. I'm filming you. Just so you know, I'm filming this. And this dude's walking away. And then he turns his back, which is a sassy AF move, by the way. Now, the cameraman gets his shit together because what kind of angle is this? We're talking people are all filming here, and somehow the dude in the altercation has a better angle than the dude filming the fight. Not on my watch. The director's version of this would have notes. All right, so then Caitlyn Jenner, before the surgery, walks on over to the dude that was over on the side, which, by the way, is that Mo?
That looks like
No, it's definitely Mo. It's Mo Jesson before all of the stuff with him and Craig. And you could tell it's Mo because watch this fall that he does. It is a perfect break fall into the street, and then you got these two things.
It was a double kick. It was a double kick.
It's so great. My favorite part of this is look at the way he presses him up. And I'll tell you this, dude in the blue shirt is actually, he's not even scared. He's just like, bro, what are you doing? Like, are
Raph,
we
that's
fighting?
Jeremy Piven.
It's Jeremy Piven after some unfortunate Ozempic didn't work. When this dude's pressed up against there, I'll tell you this much. I don't think you're fighting anymore. I think that's a very aggressive pin up against the wall that I'm thinking blue shirt is like, is this dude trying to fuck me? Like, sorry, bro. I'd rather not. And instead, when he goes to make this a violent confrontation, bam! And then, oof, into the tree, which, by the way, I've seen a lot of stunt choreography in my time. Nothing compares to this. Look at this.
Look at the right hand with the right foot. Look at the right hand that Piven throws with a right kick at the same time. He goes right calf kick, right punch.
Eek.
Right
Okay.
into the tree. And then blue shirt dude's like avoided that. Sorry, man. I'm sorry. This is your commentary. I'm sorry.
No,
this
you're
is so
fine.
wild.
It's that blue shirt thinks, all right, here's my chance. Now I'll show these guys. And then Biff's in the biggest way possible. Like he goes, man, this could have been a really unfortunate situation. Let me Can I tell you, I have enjoyed a lot of the things you brought toward me, but this is a pound for pound good one. It's very short and sweet, but every moment counts because at no point in this conversation could I guess the word that was going to happen next. At no part in this sentence of the description of this fight did I predict, well, these two guys are going to fight. All right, cool. And I'm telling you, the best part about the dude who walks off is that he totally goes out of frame, waits for his moment to come in, and then right when his mark needs to be put back in, he's like, wait a second, I'm not going to hit you now. I'm going to wait. So he doesn't even come to the aid of his friend. He waits for the opportune time and then falls on his own accord.
I want to see the director's cut with his phone footage of the fight.
I think you're right. There's nothing funnier than some cop probably being right by all this, looking at it and going, nah, we don't need to do shit on this one.
Not
Tim,
this time, boys.
Magnifique on that one. I will put the camera to you, sir. Tell the people where they can find you, sir.
Check me out inside BJJ, all your favorite social media platforms. If you're out in Nashville, come see me at 10th Planet Nashville. If you're out in Stockton, go see my homies at 10th Planet Stockton. I will be out in Great California next week. I'll be in the 209 for a few days and then heading down to sunny San Diego to hang out for a week on the beach and get some good training in. So hope to see all my homies and friends down there, man. Great show today, Raf. It's a pleasure to be here as always, man.
Likewise, Tim. Excellent find and excellent analysis this week. We thank you. And, you know, we should just caution you guys. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work. We're going to let Tim take some vacation. We may or may not have show elements. I think we are looking to see what we're doing next week for PGF. And then the following week is Subversive. And I'll talk more about that here in a second. So take a nice screenshot here. I know Kevin seems like he went to go for milk and never came back. He's somewhere in the ether. Tim will be back. We just, let the man take a little bit of a vacation. So we'll have more updates. But until then, take some well-earned time with the family. Enjoy yourself, sir. You have earned it. And we can't wait to see you back here sooner than later, I'm sure, my man.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. See you later, Tim. All right. The rest of you goons, thank you so much for watching this week's installment of The Bullpen. I hope you like this one. Man, you know what? Hold on. One more time. I had to let Tim go, but it doesn't mean that I can't sit here and watch this last one with you guys, because it be good, and it be good enough to make me do it again. So just saying, thank you one more time. Guys, I love doing this show so much. Every time Tim brings me home one of these, you just kind of stare at it and you wonder about humanity. And then you remind yourself, man, I'm kind of boring. I don't go out at night. Ooh, it's a good thing I don't, because womp, 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 weep. Magic. And that is why we go to the movies, people. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, here's a few reminders. If you like the content that I do, check me out at Grappling Hour on patreon.com/Grappling Hour. We're going to have some new interviews going up very shortly for everybody to see, but right now they are only exclusive to people who subscribe to my channel. I think you'll very much appreciate the ones that you will see coming up, including DeAndre Cobry. We've got Nico Ruiz. We've got, oh my goodness, Ed Medina, who fights out here locally. Elijah, who also fights out here locally. Like, some incredibly talented young men who are just killing it out on the scene, and I can't wait for you to see these interviews. Dom Lobo is one of the interviews that we have that's coming out. So a number of really cool things in the near future. But you can also get some Grappling Hour merch if you head on over to rafesparza.com/merch. Check out some stuff there. And guys, that's pretty much going to do it for us here on this week's show. I really thank you guys for sticking it out with us and hanging out. We will have updates on what is coming up for us in the near future in terms of some shows. You could probably expect some kind of thing, hint, from the PGF Media Day next week. And even if not that fully, I think you will see us doing some sort of pre-show element for Subversive, a program that I executive produce, and I am so excited for you guys to get to see. That is happening 2 weeks from today out at Long Beach, California. If you can be there live, that is great. If not, you'll be able to catch it online. But if you are in Southern California, June 6th at night, Long Beach, California, that's the place to be. And on June 7th in the morning, there's going to be a kids program, Wild Style. And these kids have been murdering it live. They do some of the best matches. I've been blown away by a lot of the talent that we have out here in Southern California. So that's going to do it for us here at the Bullpen. Thanks you guys for watching. We appreciate you all. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.